are Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, and this is WSIC. And if it is Friday morning, your business matters. And I am here with my co-host for the entire month, Kalani Thomas. He is the owner, founder, developer, mastermind. How's that? You like that?
It gets better every week, Joe.
Help desk sales. And we like to say right price coaching. How's that, buddy?
I love it. Thank you.
And you come in from a long distance to be here on the station each Friday morning, my friend, and I really do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I lost Kalani's voice, darling. I lost him. So one of the things that I remember about when we first met was how much go ahead and test it, Kalani, so she can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, his mic went out. So one of the things that I remember about when we first met was how much my brother-in-law really was impressed with what it is you were doing. So you were getting a group of very skilled and qualified people together, and that was a interesting piece of my intrigue with you, right? And so then
right.
you took the time to come to the house, and we sat down and talked for a while.
Right.
And I found that my brother-in-law, who is a phenomenal, multi-level marketing, we can call him an expert, right? He's been doing it long enough.
Absolutely an expert.
Yeah. He's not alone. There are a lot of coaches that think a lot of you, which is, it should be a cool thing for you, right? That inside your industry, you have created something that people are looking to you saying, hey, man, thanks. I really like this a lot.
I think what it's done more than anything is it gives coaches the opportunity to not compete against each other. We get to work together. Like our guest later, him and I actually share a lot of clients, which is something you can't say of a lot of businesses. Most businesses hire a coach, not a couple coaches, right? And so that's a big difference in the model I provide.
And it's funny, we're just not saying that. We're making that happen. My sister is thinking about starting a therapy business, and I said, listen to the show, because there's two people I really want you to hear.
Yeah.
Because absolutely, you're the right place to go. And you're the right place to go because you're the right price to get started, right? Now, you may be providing high-end, top-quality information, but a lot of times these startup businesses, they can't see to spending the money to get that information. You give them the opportunity to spend the right number to get started on that. So I saw that firsthand when I was talking with my sister. So you definitely have a potential client listening, right?
Hello.
Hello. Actually, Steve's going to have 3 or 4 people listening today. So, because it is rare that you can bring a coach on board before you even begin a small business. So we're going to talk to him about that as well. And Absolutely. You do that. You bring all of these skills together inside your program. If somebody wanted to reach you, buddy, how do they do it?
Call me. That's the best way to do it. 704-804-2119. Or you could visit thehelpdesksales.com, and you can follow all of my stuff there. I've got my own podcast, blogs, social medias, all of them. Way too many of them, to be honest with you. They're all out there. You can follow them all.
So when I go there, one thing jumps out at me. You like to write, don't you?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you do.
I'm
it
not
nice.
good at it, but
well, compared to me, my friend,
yeah.
you are a master compared to me. But I'm saying you like to take your thoughts and put them down in some form so that people can understand and grasp what it is you're thinking. And I like that about your website.
So there's a big difference in the coaching model that I have, that obviously when you're only charging people $500 or $600 a year to work with you, you can't run a business on 10 clients, right? You got to have a couple hundred. And one of the luxuries of having that many people that need stuff from me is their questions turn into content, and that content turns into the stuff on the website. So when someone calls me and says, hey, Joe, how do I do this? I go, give me 25 minutes. I'm going to write a blog, send it to you personally, and then it'll be out there for the rest of my clients.
That explains why your stuff is so relevant.
So it's always relevant, right?
Okay, got it.
Exactly. So my content is built by my clients, and my content attracts my clients. So I end up solving a problem once, and then people use my website to solve that problem more, and they end up coming back and bringing more people that need help with that stuff. So it's a good cycle.
Which is why when I went there, I felt like it was fresh fresh stuff. So now that makes you a genius. I tell you, a genius.
And free, right? You don't have to pay for any of that stuff on the website. It's just all there.
Well, now it tells me you get a chance to go to your website and see what your coaching is all about.
Yeah. Actually, let me help you. Let me do this, right? If I'm going to ask you for $500, let me make you $501 first.
Right.
That way I know you're in the profit to work with me before we even start doing anything. So hopefully the content on my website gets you to 500, and then I can get you a little further than that.
Cool. Okay. So now, listen, you're getting good at this. So you know you're supposed to bring something from the Google. And last week you brought something of your own. So you did it again, didn't you? You've got something of your own.
I brought something that talks about me, but it's not my own. And I felt that was probably a fair way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so my
this
grand
might be
finale.
A first.
Yeah, exactly. So you're familiar with Inc. magazine, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Inc. magazine every year, right at the end of the year, does digital marketing trends, small business trends, stuff like that are coming up into the new year. And now that we're in the second quarter of the year, I usually like to go back in that second quarter and look and see, were they even close, right? Are these trends anything that I should still be paying attention to based on what they were guessing? And as I went back and did that this last week, I was thinking to myself, I was like, I got to bring this article to Joe because they nailed it, in my opinion. And so I wanted to talk about it because if you aren't already paying attention to what's happening in 2020, you're going to really miss out on what's happening in 2019. And so I wanted to just make sure everyone's up on these trends, they understand them, and they're able to use them in their own business.
Okay, let's take a break, and we come back. Is it like a top 10 trends or
just three?
Three trends. So let's take a break. We come back. We're going to see what Kalani believes Inc. nailed it on the trends for 2019. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. If it's Friday morning, your business matters. Okay, Kalani, the top things Inc. nailed it. Let me hear it, buddy.
All right. So there's probably a different top category for just about every area of the business.
Right.
So given that it's 2019, right, we focus on where everyone should be focusing, which is digital stuff. Okay. So in the realm of digital marketing trends for 2019, this is it. And every single one of these things I've gone out and implemented in my own business. And I did a couple months back. And now I've got 3 or 4 months worth of data that I can say they were absolutely right on these trends, which is why I think they nailed them. And as a small business, that's really what's important. Now, the first trend, Joe, is actually sitting right in front of me. There's one of these things about a foot from me right here, and it's voice search, right?
Voice search.
So people need to start recognizing that voice search is the future, right? By round of applause, right? How many people have one of these speakers in your home?
I got one in my smoking lodge, and I tell that Alexa to turn on the lights and turn off the lights, dim the lights, turn on the radio, play my favorite song. She loves me.
Absolutely. and most people even have a network of these things now. They've got them in their offices. They've got them in their homes, right? So you're doing everything from, I can update the CRM in my office for how I get in touch with my customers using my Google HomePod.
Really?
Right? Yeah, it's fantastic. I can literally end a call and tell it to take notes on Joe's account, and it takes the notes from the call and puts them on Joe's account, all by voice, right? And so experts actually say that by 2020, half of all searches being done on the internet are going to be done by voice.
That is interesting because that's going to change a lot because what's going to happen is the analytics are going to make the decision of what I'm actually thinking or wanting, right, compared to me. Because right now, I might have a choice of 5 or 6 things on that top screen to choose from to get to what search I'm after.
Right.
If it's voice, they're going to have to make that choice for me.
Yeah, and that's why it matters as a small business to know this, is because you get to start rewriting your content now so that it's appropriate for voice search. So the way the article places it, and I love this analogy, is think about right now, you might go to Google or Yahoo or something and type in best places to surf in the United States, right? But if you're talking to your speaker, you're just going to ask it, where can I surf? Right. And so in the past, we might have written articles and blogs and things like that for our websites where the title of that article is best places to surf on the East Coast. Now it's going to be where can I surf ? Because that's what people want to know. They want to talk to an article, not have an article talk to them. Does that make sense?
No. I've been taught for the search that I should say like NC right at the end, because somebody in Cornelius is certainly going to want something in North Carolina. They're not going to want something in California. You're suggesting that may not be the case anymore with voice?
These things are getting so smart that voice makes a lot of assumptions for you, right? It assumes that it's plugged into a wall in a place where there's a modem that's plugged into a wall in a place. You're probably talking about that place. Right. So it makes a lot of these assumptions for you. And you can even, with some of these technologies, you can actually teach it the difference in your voice and your wife's voice. So now you've got voice searches that you do that know what Joe looks for, and then you've got searches that know what your wife searches for. So it can tell the difference of who's asking it and can give different answers to those people based on what it knows you like to look at on the internet.
That is bizarre. It really is bizarre.
Right. So these little robots that we're all buying and putting all over our homes and offices make you more efficient.
And they listen back to us, too. You understand that?
They do.
She's listening to me right now.
Absolutely. And so what I did back in the beginning of the year is I went and actually got my business and all of my different pieces of content, podcast and stuff like that listed on all of these voice search platforms. So you can search for almost all of my stuff by voice and find it, be able to listen to my podcast, read my blogs, all that.
Tell us how to do that. Now, what's different about voice compared to the searches, the SEO stuff that we just finally wrapped around in our pea brains figured out. So now you're telling me I got to start this all over again.
Well, think about it this way, right? There's a whole table full of people right now at Google sitting around this big round table trying to figure out how do we make more money. And the easiest way to figure out how do we make more money is to take away the stuff they know you're good at. And we've all figured out SEO, right? Write some good content, get some good reviews, get to the first page. Now that we all know that, they got to change the game, and voice is what's changing that game. So the difference is, if you want to read my blog now, you can go and search Kalani Thomas's blog. If you want to listen to my podcast, you can search for my podcast or my blog. You can just tell your speaker to play my last podcast, and it'll just pull up the most recent one, play it for you from beginning to end, and then tell you how to get to my website when it's over. So that level of immersion in the search itself is what makes people want to ask their speaker instead of ask their computer.
Okay, but how do
you do it?
Yeah. Is that secret I got to pay $500 for?
Just go to your smart speaker and say, play Kalani Thomas's last podcast. That's all you got to do, and it'll pull it up.
Okay, but what if I want them to search for the best fitness broker in all the Cornelius? How do I make that pop
Absolutely.
up?
So you start where you start a lot of this stuff, which is by syncing a Google My Business list.
You understand I said that, and Steve's behind you laughing. You understand that, don't you?
Yeah, I haven't turned around for a reason.
I'm sorry, say that again. I needed to hear that.
I haven't turned around for a reason. So Google My Business is sort of the gateway for a lot of these services online. So that's spot number one to start, and you can literally Google My Business, which sounds very meta, but it does work, and it'll get you exactly where you need to go, and you can start syncing up everything across the web to that one profile.
Interesting. Okay, so that first tip was spectacular.
Good.
You nailed it. Let's go to number two. They nailed it.
Great. So the second one.
Back up. Because a sharp guy like you didn't do that until you read that at the beginning of the year. So you're saying this is not something, because you're on top of a lot of this stuff, right? You being a marketing guy that you are. So you weren't really aware that this trend was going to be so strong until you read this article at the beginning of the year?
So I've been paying attention to the trend, and, I left corporate America working for Yodel and Web.com in 2014. So it's been almost 6 years. And when we were there, about 1/10 of all searches being done were voice. And then 2 years ago, it was a quarter. Last year, it was a third. Next year, it's going to be half. I'm not a huge math guy, but I could tell which direction that's going.
Right.
So you got to be there. That's the end of the story. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Next one.
And this, again, talking about these digital trends, all of the search engines and social media things and stuff like that are all starting to measure what they call micro moments.
Micro moments. Am I supposed to know what that means?
So micro moment is the I want to go, I want to buy, the I want to do, and then fill in the blank moments that people have online that are these micro moments, right? Where someone has a thought of I want to buy a new pair of shoes, and they immediately go in and do that, and you've got just 13 seconds max to not just get their attention, but to get their attention, to let them evaluate you as a brand, and to give them an actionable step they can take towards something. These micro moments are now what a lot of the search engines have pushed to, and a lot of the social media platforms have pushed to. You see a lot of these 10 to 15 second ads. They're targeting these micro moments. You've got to embrace these micro moments in your business.
How are they doing? I hear what you're saying, but I'm having a hard time understanding exactly how I can be a part of that micro moment.
Yeah, so people on average right now, and this is a terrible statistic, it's almost scary, but we spend on average 3.5 hours a day on our phones. That's almost more than the employment statistics show people work on average in a day.
That's funny.
Yeah, people work on average a day.
I believe it.
3 hours and 35 minutes, especially if you're talking to salespeople, right? On average, people spend 3.5 hours a day on their phone. So a Google study basically learned that people experience about 150 of these micro moments a day during these 3.5 hour sessions they have when they're on their phone. And so ads, these big long storyboard ads that were 60 seconds long got pared down to 30 seconds. And now we've got these little tiny videos that come up that say, hey, I'm a product. Don't forget I'm a product. Visit me if you like products, right? And then the video's over, because that's really the only attention people have, because we've got to get back to that 3.5 hour log we're trying to fill. We don't want 3.5 hours and 45 minutes of it being ads, right? So to get people to spend more time on their phone, ads have to get shorter and shorter, even though they're more robust in volume. The length of those is getting a lot shorter. So you grab people's attention by helping to figure out how people make split-second decisions in your business and then market to those split-second decisions.
How would this change for somebody like me, who my sales cycle could be 2-3 years? In other words, you're not thinking about selling today, kind of like you're not thinking about buying a car today,
right?
But I want to be top of mind when you are 2-3 years later. I can remember years ago, I had this down to a science. I knew that if I mailed you out something, right, in your industry, I knew that if it was a substantial card or letter, you were actually going to save that, put it in a file, and someday pick up the phone and call me. And literally 2-3 years later, now I don't know how to make that contact because I have no way to stay with you for that long period of time. So the cycle is much longer.
When I was on your show back in October, you did actually send me a card after the show. One of like 2 people, I think, in all of 2018 that sent me a card. I not only keep the card, I show other people the card because it's a difference, right? You had an impact on a micro moment for me that I opened an envelope and said, oh, this is cool. This is a nice thing to have, right? The whole message on that card was thanks for coming to the show.
That's right.
Right? Less than 13 seconds, got my attention, made an impact. I'll tell people about it forever, right? So you take these micro moments.
I'm on Kalani's list of do that. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, you're on there twice, but I won't tell you the second one. We're going to make you work for that one, okay? But you take these micro moments, and I've always taken the strategy of what I call surrounding an organization, right? And so if you are the organization you're approaching, or that person you want to sell is the sun of that solar system, these micro moments are the planets. You want them orbiting this person as often as you can. Pebble in a shoe almost sounds derogatory, and it's in the way people think about it, but you want to be in front of that person every time they have that
so
thought.
This is more consistent, right?
Absolutely,
so that's what's changing in my mind, and people that do B2B, and it's this long sales cycle. So I got to get back to tick, 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 keep dropping something in, where before it used to be one big thing that just kind of is memorable.
Absolutely. But people evaluate a couple different things, right? What's your price? What's the quality of your service? How fast am I going to get the service? Those things. And if all of those things are their own split-second, micro-moment decisions, sell to each of those and sell to them over the length of that process, that 2-year period or whatever. I'm going to hit you on price. I'm going to hit you on quality. I'm going to hit you on speed. I'm going to hit you on price. And just repeating that in these micro moments, when they're ready to make that decision, there's no one else to go to but the person that's been the pebble in their shoe.
Okay. So one last one. What you got?
Last one. And my favorite thing I've ever done for my business, and people have used it twice today already, and it's cost me nothing from a standpoint of my workload, is invest in a chatbot. That is the biggest thing. Say that again. Invest in a chatbot. Now, I know we're getting out there, freaky sci-fi stuff, right? But a chatbot, exactly that. A robot that talks to your customers so you don't have to.
Huh.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is that like a? Well, it ain't like calling somebody on the phone and leaving a voicemail message, is it?
Right.
Or the little text that
different,
the
right?
aggravating text that they send me that I know wasn't them personally that sent it. Is that what you're talking about?
So I've got 600 customers now
Right.
that pay me to be their coach, right? I can't possibly coach all those people without putting some technologies in place to make it a little easier.
Right.
Right. So I've actually got keywords my customers text me that actually generates a chat bot to have a digital session with them so I don't have to ask them any questions. Then my robot compiles all of their answers and emails it to me, and then I get to look up what they're doing, how it's working, all their insights. So people have sessions with a robot for 3 or 4 minutes of answering questions by text.
How does that
And I get
work?
to cut out all the in between. It works because these things are getting smarter and easier to use on a daily basis. Not only does this chatbot work that well for me, it's 9/10 of a penny every time someone wants to use it with me.
That's going to be a whole show on itself to talk about this, right?
I dare you to bring me back and let's do it. I dare you.
Yeah,
I love the chatbot conversation.
We're going to have
huge.
to, because that is
Yeah.
it is so far outside of what I understand. You just spoke for 3 minutes on that, and my mind is still on bot. What's he talking about? Is it a box in the room? What is it?
Well, I'm here for another half an hour, Joe. We can talk about it as much as you want.
Chat. Okay, so we're gonna. That's gonna be a whole nother topic. We're gonna have to bring that up.
Good, but it's important. All I'm saying, Google chatbot and start there. Figure out what it is. Figure out what parts of your business you think you can implement it in, and then reach out to me 704-804-2119, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. I've actually got a program on my website that you can buy that shows you how to buy, build, and deploy a chatbot in your own business.
And the concept is that I am replying back to
More efficient.
interacting with clients.
Yeah.
And it's really
Number one time suck in my business is people asking me, when am I available to talk?
Right.
So the first thing I did with a chatbot was made my chatbot that. So all you got to do is text me the word meeting, and my bot asks you how long you want to talk, when you want to talk, questions that we might want to talk about whenever we have that session, then puts a link directly on both of our calendars. I don't have to do any of that anymore, and it costs me about a nickel every time the bot has to do it.
We got to get a bot.
I'm here. We'll build one.
Wow.
Let's do it.
Let's build a bot. And Kalani can do it. Kalani, if somebody needs a bot or help at anything, buddy, tell them how they can reach you.
Go to the helpdesksales.com, and then at the top of the page, you'll see a video series right there. You can buy the bot for yourself, show you exactly how to install it, or just call me, 704-804-2119, and I'll walk right in your front doors and show you how to build the thing.
Super cool. And you guys wonder why I have who I have as a co-host. It's because we got the best of the best.
Love
bots.
Bots.
Let's take a break, buddy, and then you can introduce our next guest because they're one of your coaches.
Absolutely.
Okay. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, and I am here with Kalani Thomas. He is the owner, founder, master of help desk sales and right price coaching. If it's Friday morning, your business matters. We'll be right back.